Namaste everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's nice to be here, finally sharing some of my thoughts on what's happening on the world stage at the moment. I want to bring some positivity, uplift, inspiration. I have some really good news about what's going on that is available and accessible to anyone who's willing to listen. And I'm certainly not the only person speaking about all of this stuff. I've really been immersed in the last couple of weeks in following what I suppose would be the alternative news on the subject and spiritual teachers around the planet that are really calling us to appreciate the gifts of this time, that are providing positive, well, spin is the wrong word, because a spin implies some kind of deception. There is no deception coming from that camp. That is a camp which seeks to inform humanity about what's really going on, not spin any kind of agenda or propaganda. So in the spirit of that, I'm just going to add my 2 cents worth, knowing that I often make videos for people that are going through mental health issues. So I've been thinking about my peeps for a while and hoping that everybody's okay, hoping that all those resiliency skills that you guys have built up through going through a great deal of personal suffering are now really coming to the fore, and that you're actually able to use them to navigate these times. So so I'm here in Queensland, Australia, and I'm sitting with my I thought I might bring out the little Buddha today to sit with us and provide something of peace and presence. I just love gazing into the statue's face. There's so much serenity in that expression. And also this lovely little plant, which, you know, I think right now nature can teach us a lot, because nature's not panicking. Nature's actually enjoying what's going on. I've heard that there are dolphins returning to the canals in Venice, and here in my own part of the world, we've had an incredible explosion of butterflies and insects in the last few weeks that is just, you know, from a shamanic perspective, when you're tuned into the collective field of nature, nature gives us signs all the time about what's happening. So that's what the shamans of a culture would do, and what the indigenous peoples of our world naturally do. So I'm looking at the butterflies and taking them as a sign of positive change. It's really quite incredible. I've never seen so many butterflies. I've also been having dreams about wild animals coming into my home, but not in a negative way, in a more of a balancing way. So dreams of black dogs and snakes and goshawks. These are creatures which can be quite threatening. They, you know, a dog can kill you, a wild dog, or a goshawk is a predator, and a snake is a kind of a scary creature, but not for me personally. I think that dream, I feel, was speaking to our primal fears at the moment that are coming out in humanity, and knowing that we are collectively confronting our most primal fears. And those 3 animals, I could go into a very in-depth analysis of this, but I'll just say that they are perhaps a symbol of nature and our relationship with nature, and the fact that nature can so easily destroy us with one virus or one tsunami or one earthquake. So, you know, that idea of actually taking our time now as a collective humanity, as we all go into an internal space within, to rebalance our relationship with nature, to appreciate the food that's on our table, or that has been for so many years now just an afterthought. As we zip home from our works, we grab what we need off the supermarket shelves. Many of us are very not out of touch with the growth of our own food or production. So helping us all to come back to that deep appreciation. I was reflecting the other day on how much I deeply appreciated the bag of organic carrots that I bought at the little fruit and veg shop on the side of the road. So now can be a time of deep, deep gratitude for what you do have and the food that is in your cupboard and the toilet rolls that are in your bathroom. Deep gratitude for your family and the people you care about, and the home that you are in, no matter how humble it is. You know, wherever you've landed right now, it is always the case with our higher spirit, our higher self, that it is perfect for you right now. So even if that situation is a struggle, even if on top of this virus event you've also experiencing some sort of incredible change, like a relationship breakup, or I don't know, many scenarios, right? We were all in the middle of something when this hit. So many people have lost things as well, lost work or lost whatever it was that we were about to receive in the normal timeline, which is now disintegrated rapidly. So, okay, so this is tough, right? But and I speak to people who've gone through mental health challenges, but my audience might be wider than that, so welcome to anybody. You're all welcome. Anybody who's interested in turning this event into a positive, right? Which is the power of our consciousness and what we can do with these opportunities. So those people anyway who might have experienced mental health issues or some kind of suffering, and you've healed from that, or you've worked through, or you've built up a skill set to help you cope with that, now is your time to shine, because you have what it takes to be able to get through this. All of those things that you learnt about checking in with your thought patterns. What are you thinking about? Are you going into catastrophizing thinking? Are you allowing your emotions to overwhelm you? What can you do to ground yourself? How can you take care of yourself right now? What boundaries do you need to put in place for you to feel settled and emotionally safe? All those things you're going to be needing and using. So I know that there are many of us who actually will be realizing what a great toolkit we have. And, you know, there's plenty of people on the planet that were, I guess, they wouldn't have said that they had mental health issues, but are now really struggling. This event has brought up in individual people as well as collectively anything that was repressed. All of the fears that were kind of stuffed down there, the negative emotions, are going to be amplified and brought to conscious light. So there are lots of people out there in the normal world that are not prepared for this at all, that do not have the skills that we might have built up, and are, you know, in a lot of fear and panic and confusion. So that's the first thing. That kind of links into, I guess, what I wanted to title this video, because I can see a lot of correlation between what I went through when I was going through psychosis and what's happening on our planet collectively. And I feel that we are going through a kind of a mass psychosis. It's mind-blowingly intense, because every single person on the planet right now is affected by this virus. So we have a collective focus on this thing that's happening. And that energy is going to really be amplified in some people who, as I said before, have a lot of repressed fears, right? So if you've, it'll manifest in different ways for different people. But let's just go to the hallmarks, perhaps, of psychosis. What exactly, why am I using the analogy of psychosis? So psychosis for me was the way that I define it. So the way that I define psychosis is it's an expanded state of consciousness, awareness. All of a sudden, you're kind of aware of so many things that you weren't aware of before, as well as a toppling of your belief system. So it might be that your actual beliefs are literally being threatened, or it's just that your reality has changed, turned upside down. So now you're questioning everything. All those assumptions you made about where your security was going to come from or what the world was about are now sort of turned on their head. And the third thing that's important is fear. So a psychotic experience is a fear-based experience, right? That otherwise it wouldn't be distressing and people wouldn't need help with it. You can have a guru or a yogi or somebody meditating in a beautiful, with pure intentions and very grounded in that experience, and they can have an expanded state of consciousness without fear. And we call that nirvana or samadhi or enlightenment, right? Like my beautiful Buddha friend here. But it's the fear component that creates a psychotic experience. Now, I've gone through this, some of you may know, and I'll pop the link down below to my video on psychosis as a spiritual phenomenon. And there are many, many writers on the subject as well. It's not just me saying this, but I feel that a psychosis is an incredible, powerful, very, very potent healing opportunity. So when I went through my experience, what it really did is it brought everything that was negative in the unconscious, my unconscious, to my consciousness to be dealt with. And at first, I was really overwhelmed. I was flooded. That's another element of psychosis, to be overwhelmed and not know how to react and what to do with all these things that are going on around you. So it took a long time to settle down from that experience. But as I worked through those fears and I confronted them, and I was able to recalibrate my belief system to be a healthier one, I came out of it as a much more healed and whole person. Now, the reason I needed to go through psychosis is because I was repressing a lot of things. There was lots of things hidden in my unconscious, right? So that had to be brought to light. And the same thing is happening on our planet right now, collectively. There has been a whole lot of deception and lies and repressed energy and truth that has slowly becoming made aware of by some people in our society have become aware of it. But still many people are what we would say asleep to this deception, to what's been really going on behind the scenes, right? And when I say behind the scenes, yes, conspiracy theory is one term for this stuff, but I prefer to think of it as that there has been a very small group of people on our planet that have had a lot of control over thousands of years. And in terms of a conspiracy, it's painted as that to divide and to confuse and to discredit, I suppose, people who've researched this stuff. The research is so solid now that once you start down these rabbit holes and you start looking at the stuff, it's undeniable, right? I could put many documents in front of any of you that if you actually looked at them, it would be undeniable. But the thing that prevents people from actually looking at the stuff is that we've been brainwashed, we've been mind controlled. We have a media that is entirely controlled at the very top echelons by this 1% elite. And they have been feeding us information that they want us to think and believe. So there's been all this what's called social engineering of our belief systems. And those belief systems are literally what create our reality. So many people have these belief systems deeply imprinted in their minds that to suggest to these people that there's something nefarious going on is actually very threatening for them. They don't want to hear it. So that's essentially what a psychosis can do. However, it can rip the rug out from under our feet collectively to show us what has been hidden there in plain sight for a long time. And there's something, even for the most conservative thinker, there's something extremely fishy about this virus event. I'm not saying that there isn't a virus. It seems like all spectrums of the parties, including conspiracy theorists, think that there's a virus. But it's the puzzle of where did this virus come from and why is the governments and media so panicked about something that is way less threatening than the seasonal flu. What is going on here, right? It's really, really fishy. So, anyone would kind of see the red flags about this, right? And that's what I mean by belief systems being really, really tossed around. There's a lot on the internet as well that there's information flying in all directions about what's actually happening. We're all going to have to deal with this. We're all going to have to deal with this period of intense confusion and intense fear as we go through this crisis together. Now, it's got enormous potential for healing collectively, because if this deception and negativity gets exposed to the light of consciousness, as I predict it will, because that's the course of a psychosis, then we're going to have the opportunity to rebalance. Now, a psychosis comes along partly because something was out of balance, that balance in the psyche of the human consciousness. And again, ask almost anyone on the planet apart from the 1% elite, do you think that humanity is going in the right direction? Most people would say no. No, it's not. There's corruption, and there's war, and there's mistreatment of animals, and there's a raping and pillaging of our earth, and we all have to work all these ridiculous hours just to pay our rent and to be enslaved to huge debts, right? That, like, deeply, you might be comfortable in your circumstances, but if you kind of look at the aggregate, if you're brave enough to take a big picture view, you can see that there's huge inequities in our world and huge sufferings. And this is not how it has to be. We've been fed a lie that this is how it has to be, that there's no other way, that this is the best humanity can do. Rubbish. Human beings are at their best loving, kind, beautiful beings who are very, very capable of being kind to each other, taking care of each other. But unfortunately, our minds have been so programmed with belief systems like scarcity. There's not enough for all of us. We have to fight over it. We've been encouraged to live in survival mode. We've been encouraged to be greedy. We've been encouraged to live a consumerist lifestyle, right? I can go on and on and on about our world as it was a few weeks ago. This is the incredible miracle about what's going on right now. That world is gone forever. It's gone, right? It's crumbling right now. And when we come out on the other side of this, it's going to be a whole new world. Now, the intensity about all of this is the disclosure of these nefarious things that have been going on. Is it hangs in the balance, right? It's there for you if you want to go and research it. The most compelling piece of evidence that I've ever seen just came from somebody I trust who's been researching it, and you can actually look at this file yourself. It's a lawsuit against the biggest corporations in the world and institutions, corporations and institutions around brainwashing of humanity, genocide, manipulating us, social engineering, using a weaponization of the biosphere, using hugely censoring technology in order to control our belief systems. It's all there for us, right? It's sitting under there. There's, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out some rubbish Louisa statistics. Let's say 25% of the world's population right now know about this, okay? Have done some research or are very advanced in their research and know about this. Then you've got a big chunk in the middle, maybe 50%, who kind of feel that that stuff could be true, but they've never looked into it, they weren't really interested in it before. And yeah, like that group of people right now could be pushed to actually investigate this stuff for themselves and have these conversations for the first time in their lives. And then you have the remaining 25% who are really deeply invested in the reality that we've collectively created. They don't want it to crumble. They don't want it to fall. They like things the way they are. They really believe in our system, in our government. So for them, this video would have been long turned off, right? They don't want to know. They don't want to know. So I personally think that what we're going through is a transition of disclosure, that we're going to understand very soon a lot more about what's been going on our planet and how we've been manipulated and controlled. A lot of the manipulation and control has actually fed into our mental health issues, our disorders that we have. You know, the people who, I guess, have been on the bottom of society will suddenly be vindicated when all this comes out. That yes, we have been abused as humanity, that there's been enormous crimes done against us. And that's why we've suffered so badly with depressions and other illnesses. You know, my psychosis was the greatest gift that my higher self, my being, could have given to me, because it shot me out of my asleep mode, where everything was kind of like okay, you know, but I was always deeply miserable inside and questioning, why am I here? It's all pointless. You know, always struggling with addictions and depressions, and never so severe that I had to go to hospital, but just there. That was my life until age 36. Psychosis, boom. All of a sudden, nothing was true. I had to look at every shadow aspect within myself, and I had to go on this intense healing journey, which then led to an awakening of consciousness, an awakening of understanding, wisdom, and most importantly, connection to source, or the intelligent quantum field, right? Connection to all that is comes back online when we do our healing work. So collectively, as humanity, we have to face our shadow. This is essential for our collective healing. We cannot deny what's going on anymore. The sex trafficking trade that is happening across our planet and has been funding things for the nefarious people. The wars that have been created by these 1% elite that, you know, appear as if there's two sides, but no, the 1% elite is giving all the money to both sides. Research this stuff for yourself, because really you have to, in a sense. You know, every person who's woken up to these truths has come to it by you know, taking in new information. Okay, possible, plausible, feels pretty wild to me, but I'll be open to it. And then the more information comes, and as the information flows, we start to integrate and accept that knowledge, that new knowledge. And then, see, this is a beautiful thing. You become empowered by it. I'm really hoping that you guys can see that I'm not afraid, right? I'm not one of these people that are panicking, because I have so much knowledge. How you are reacting at the moment is depending on the amount of knowledge you have about what's going on. So how big picture can you get? And the second thing is your frequency. So where are you emotionally with this? And again, you know, for folks who've gone through mental health challenges and are some way recovered, you can actually manage your frequency. You manage your frequency by grounding yourself, by doing your self-care activities, by checking your self-talk, by not exposing yourself to negative fear-based information that makes you feel crappy. You don't have to watch the news all the time. Don't watch it at all. Somebody is going to tell you what's going on and what you need to know. So, you know, my advice to you right now, and this is, I guess, where I'll end it. I won't try and make this video too long. I'll try to publish more often rather than longer videos. I'm just grabbing my notes. So if the analogy of a mass psychosis has resonated with you at all, if you're feeling a lot of fear, or you're called to help people who are in a lot of fear, I want you to use the same solutions that would present for somebody going through a psychosis, right? So a person in a psychotic state is extremely raw, right? The nervous system is on edge, max. The smallest little gum nut dropping can send you into panic. So cocooning yourself, or the person that's going through the fear, really, really, that's where this isolation is a good thing, okay? Go into your own cocoon, wrap yourself up in cotton wool, have baths and watch movies that make you laugh, read a book that you remember from your childhood that you used to love. Go within, find soothing, comforting activities to do as much as possible. Don't expose yourself to the fear, right? When I was going through psychosis, I couldn't even handle bright lights or loud noises. I had to be in a very beautiful, soft environment, nice music, yeah? Make yourself feel safe as you need to. So, collect the kind of essentials that you need. If you can avoid going to the shops, avoid it. And not because I'm worrying about the virus. I think the pandemic part has been way overhyped by the media. But it's okay, right? Let's just go all with the flow. This is something else that I've learned through my shamanic practices. We use the energy of whatever situation we're in. So right now we've got a tsunami of energy that is telling us all to go inside and be alone, right? Isolate and all that stuff. So go with the flow and use this time to keep yourself grounded and feeling safe, yeah? Now, for some of us, this might take a real effort because we might be in the head a lot and those fear stories are playing out, and what happens if I lose my job, and, I don't know, there's a lot of dystopian kind of thinking that you can tune into. Don't do that, right? We're in a storm at the moment. We're in a storm, and in the middle of the storm is an eye of the storm. And in the eye of the storm is where you find your peace. You can be like this fellow. Okay, you can just be at peace. You have to find your own center. This is so important at this time. I'm pretty good at being peaceful. I live in a very high frequency vibration a lot of the time, but even I've been pulled off course a bit in the last couple of weeks. Sometimes those fear stories will grab hold of in my head as well, and I just cut them off. They do not serve me right now. I know from my spirit guidance that what serves me is to come into my center, to be as grounded as possible. Again, why I can be so confident in this is because I have knowledge about how frequency works, and I have knowledge about how when we hold a higher frequency, a high vibration within ourselves, loving, compassionate, forgiving, calming energy, grounded, then that reverberates out through our quantum field in a vastly more powerful way than fear does. Yeah, it takes a lot of people afraid to impact our quantum field. But it only takes a few people who are calm and loving to impact our quantum field. The frequency matching is radically different. I might even pop a link to Dr. Hawkins' work, David Hawkins. He talks about the levels of consciousness and actually tested all this, like how a positive vibration manifests out into our reality. Extremely powerful. As is our thoughts. Our thoughts create our reality. So what are you thinking? If they're fearful thoughts, how can you change that? Watch some YouTube videos that are positive. Follow good positive. I'm going to post a whole bunch below this video, okay? Videos, they might not be quite your cup of tea. Just try a few. You'll get onto the good ones that work for you. There's loads and loads of positive people right now that are explaining this stuff, that are giving us a different perspective so we can get through this together. And it's not just a fairy tale. The positive story is not a fairy tale. It's actually, I believe, the timeline that we're about to step into. That we're about to step into a timeline where we get liberated from this deception. It has to come up into our consciousness. We have to all see it for what it is. And when that phase has gone through, that's very uncomfortable and disorientating as it is right now, we're going to get to the other side and we're going to find, oh, wow, whole new world that we get to create. We actually get to create this world with fair financial systems that are not debt based and fiat based. The financial system right now is nothing. It's meaningless. It's a joke. We all follow it. We all use it, but it's not backed by anything. So many of our institutions are controlled. So we get to dismantle these things and we get to create ones that actually have integrity behind them. In the meantime, read, do your yoga, breathe, play, bake. I'm going to do some baking. I'm going to bake some bread. Go back to basics. Teach yourself a craft. Teach yourself how to make soap. We might have some shortages for a while of things. It's okay. We're going to get through it. Lots of people know how to do all this stuff. We get to play again, right? Try to enjoy this time. That's what I'm doing, and I know we're going to get through this. Okay, so, one last thing. Grounded in the body. So this is really important for, if you're very in the head and you're very fear-based, again, with psychosis, it would be about getting your hands in the dirt. If you can go outside, please, bare feet, hands, make yourself a garden. That's really, really good. Go for lots of walks in nature. Lie on the ground and let the Mother Earth cleanse your vibration. I recently had a powerful experience with that, where I was sitting next to a modem in my office, which I've since gone and got a Tesla plate for this because I wanted to clean up the energy. But anyway, I was sitting next to this modem without any protection, and I was there for about 10 hours, and I felt so angry at the end of the day. And I'm thinking, I don't think this is just because I've been writing a boring uni report. I think it's because of the modem. And I went to my rocks and crystals and tried out a few different ones to see if I could alter my frequency, because rocks and crystals emit very powerful frequencies of their own, and we can entrain our bodies to that frequency, so they can be very healing. But interestingly, the only one that worked, and it worked instantly, was a rock that I collected from Mother Biwa, the mountain Biwa here in the Glasshouse Mountains where I live. She is the mother mountain that emits her energy through this whole region, right? So holding that rock, an earth rock, grounded my system, recalibrated my frequency. I'm at the stage where I can read my own frequency and I can feel it really easily. I'm aware that not everybody that's watching this video will understand what I mean, but if you play around with this stuff, you might learn, and you don't need a textbook to do this. You can play with it yourself. You can experiment with how it feels to just lie on your back on the earth for 10-15 minutes. You can put, if you can't lie fully on the back, you can just put your palms of your hands down and let the current run through your body with both hands. Really beautiful practice. Another thing is just getting in the body somehow, so through physical exercise, doing yoga, doing breath work, those kinds of things, really helpful. Breath, yes. All right. And lastly, go within for truth. That's the thing about psychosis, is that my psychosis taught me that what is out here is manipulated and not always true. There is some truth, and of course, I've found plenty of truth in my adventures ever since that psychosis. But ultimately, the real truth, the GPS for truth, is in here. So, if nothing else, you can just meditate on that. And I've been doing that every day, kind of tuning into the collective frequency and what my guidance says about that. What do I need to do today? And it's holding me strong. It's putting me in the right direction for me. So, yeah. All right, guys. I hope that's useful, and I'll try to make some more videos. And I just, want to say that I'm really, really cheerleading humanity on right now. So please even if you don't believe any of the conspiracy theory stuff, just stay in your loving heart. Just stay loving. This is really the only thing you need to know right now, is that we are being called to make a choice between love and fear. Between fear and love. So choose love, because if you choose love, all is well for you personally. Okay? That's a guarantee from Spirit. Choose love. All right. Okay, beautiful people. Namaste. I'll see you soon. Much love.